What's up, guys? Welcome to today's show. Manchester City smashing Real Madrid 4-0 to reach the Champions League final along with Inter Milan. Absolute mazza. It isn't what I expected. I expected Real Madrid to beat Manchester City. I didn't expect it to be easy, but I expected Real Madrid to have too much for City. So let's look at the game. Ancelotti took out Rudiger and put Militao back in. A lot of people thought that Rudiger would stay in, Militao would join him and Alaba would go to the left along with Carvajal on the right, but he didn't do that. He just swapped Rudiger for Militao, which I think was a massive error. Rudiger was immense in the first leg. Midfield was pretty much the same. Kroos, Valverde and Luka Modric with Rodrigo, Benzema and Vini up front. Manchester City, I think they were pretty much unchanged as well, and they dominated the game. They dominated the possession. They had so many chances, so many attempts, and they got the goal and they got another goal and they just, 4-0. If it weren't for Thibaut Courtois, it probably could have been 8. Thibaut Courtois was exceptional despite conceding 4 goals. He made about 3-4 world-class saves. And if it weren't for Thibaut Courtois, Real Madrid could have got smashed 8-0. I think Ancelotti made some errors. He should have maybe put in some legs, maybe put in Camavinga in midfield, maybe put in Chukwuemeka in midfield as well. I mean, Modric and Toni Kroos winning 5 Champions Leagues each. They have been exceptional for Real Madrid. They are Real Madrid legends, but they are coming to maybe the twilight of their careers. And even though they have a lot of experience, the likes of Camavinga and Chukwuemeka, who have also won a Champions League, and they've played in big games for their countries, World Cup finals, semi-finals, they probably could have handled the occasion. And with their ability, with their athleticism and with their youth, maybe would have been a better option. Maybe Chukwuemeka, Camavinga and Valverde in midfield. We're looking at it now in retrospect. After the game, we can all say what could have happened, what Ancelotti could have done, blah, blah, blah. But that's probably going to be the Real Madrid midfield going forward. If they get Jude Bellingham, we don't know if that's going to happen. But Valverde, Chukwuemeka and Camavinga are a formidable midfield for years to come anyway. So maybe Ancelotti should have put some faith more in the youth, more in legs, more in the athleticism and also the quality that those players have defensively and offensively. But, credit when credit's due. Manchester City were exceptional. They were superb and they blew Real Madrid away, winning 5-1 on aggregate. Now, listen, I do not like Manchester City. I do not want them to win the treble. I do not want them to win the Champions League. They probably are going to win the Premier League. And I do want them to win the FA Cup because all season, Manchester United fans, especially the southern ones, the fake Manchester United fans that live in London, that only support Manchester United because they're glory seekers, they have been pissing me off all year, especially since Arsenal flopped, bottled it. They have been pissing me off with their trolling, so I don't want Manchester United to win the FA Cup. And some of those pundits like Ferdinand talking nonsense and shit, and Neville, even though I have to admit Neville was right in the end about his predictions of how he thought the Premier League would go, thinking City would have too much for Arsenal and Arsenal would crumble towards the end. Credit when credit is due to Neville. He was right in the end, but I do not want Manchester United to win the FA Cup, and I hope Manchester City pump Manchester United and all these southern Manchester United fans, fake glory seeker fans. Then I'll be back to troll you, man. And you know who I'm talking about. So they are probably going to end up winning 2 trophies, Premier League and FA Cup, a domestic double. There is a high percentage they are going to win the Champions League, but I love Inter Milan. I've always loved Inter Milan. They've always been my team in Italy for reasons I have stated previously. And I do think in a one-off game, yes, Manchester City are better than Inter Milan, but in a one-off game, maybe Inzaghi can mastermind some way to topple the juggernaut that is Pep's Manchester City. Inzaghi is a very gifted young manager, and he has a lot of quality in his team himself, with Mkhitaryan, with Barella, with Dzeko, Lautaro Martinez, Lukaku, and also Onana, who is an exceptional goalkeeper. You also have the likes of Darmian. They've got fantastic players in that Inter Milan team, and they'll be up for it. And like I've said before, they have a lot at stake as a club for them to win the Champions League. The future of the club basically could hinge on one match, whether or not they go on a forward trajectory or their trajectory is stalled or potentially going backwards. This Champions League game matters a lot more to Inter Milan than it does to City, for reasons off the field and on the field, and the progression of the football club. Manchester City, if they don't win the Champions League, they will still have an abundance of money, and they will still have an abundance of resources in order to keep pumping into the team. But Inter Milan really do need to win this Champions League to carry on, the forward trajectory of the football club on and off the field. I'm backing Inter Milan. I think they have the quality, and I think Inzaghi will do what Ancelotti didn't. Ancelotti didn't seem to have a plan. It seemed to be like, okay, we've got amazing world-class players. They'll get us out of trouble, or they'll get us the result like they did last year. It didn't happen this time. There didn't seem to be a plan or any tactics to really nullify Manchester City or to outsmart Pep. It just sort of like, Ancelotti thought that his players were better than City's. Maybe before, but a lot of Real Madrid's players are getting on with age. So it's one of those things. I believe Inzaghi and Inter will have a plan to try and beat City. And Inzaghi is a very tactically astute young manager. They'll probably play a low block, be hard to break down. They'll have the two strikers up front, and they'll try and catch Manchester City on the counter-attack with those two strikers and with those very, very progressive attacking midfielders like Mkhitaryan and Barella. And, Manchester City might not be so used to defending against two strikers, because not many teams in Europe, and especially the Premier League, play with two strikers anymore. Villa do. Since Emery's come in, Villa have been playing with a 4-4-2 formation, two strikers, and that has reaped a huge amount of benefits for them. So maybe the fact that City are not so used to defending against that sort of formation, it might give Inter Milan a slight little bit of hope. But, despite the odds, I am backing Inter Milan. I do not want Manchester City to win the treble. They're probably going to win the league, and they're probably going to beat Manchester United, hopefully. But that's a domestic double. I do not want them to win the treble. I'm not a fan of Manchester City, and I really do hope that Inter Milan save football and beat Manchester City. I'm rooting for the underdogs. And as for Pep, he's a fantastic manager. He is, a top manager. He's always had an abundance of resources at his disposal, though. But in terms of the way he sees the game and the way he motivates his players and the way he, just keeps churning out winning teams, it can't be knocked. In terms of the Klopp or Pep debate, I'm more on the Klopp side. I prefer Klopp as a person and as a manager. And, Klopp has been pushing Pep and Manchester City for the last 5-6 seasons with not as many resources. So, even though the resources are not the be-all and end-all, Manchester United have spent a lot of money, Chelsea have spent a lot of money, City have an amazing infrastructure, and they've got an amazing coach that knows exactly what he's doing. So it's going to be an interesting final. I'm fully rooting for Inter Milan, and I do believe that they will do it, even though I was wrong about my predictions between Real Madrid and Manchester City. I'm hoping and I believe that Inter Milan will have enough to beat Manchester City in terms of quality and in terms of tactical nous, as they won the Champions League back in 2010. They've done it based on quality and tactical nous. But when Inter Milan do have their chances, they have to be extremely clinical extremely clinical. And Lautaro Martinez and Dzeko and Lukaku are very good strikers that do take chances. So hopefully they can save football and beat Manchester City and get some of these smug English pundits and English sports media back down to earth. In terms of Real Madrid, listen, they're going to rebuild. You know, some of their transfer targets, Bellingham, Mbappe, you know, they're going to rebuild and they're going to come back. And they already have, you know, fantastic young players I've mentioned before, Chukwuemeka, Camavinga, Valverde, to carry on the Real Madrid success. But I think this is the end of this particular team's cycle, and what a cycle has been with tremendous success. So, looking forward to June the 10th, the Champions League final, and looking forward to City smashing United in the FA Cup final also. Brief thing on transfers. Arsenal linked with Cancelo, the Manchester City left back. That would be tremendous if Arsenal would be able to pull that off. But will Manchester City sell us another one of their players as they did with Gabriel Jesus and Zinchenko? If Arsenal were to land Cancelo, that would pretty much mean that what's his name? Tierney. Yeah, that would pretty much mean that Tierney would be going somewhere. I like Tierney. I wouldn't like to see him go to a rival like Newcastle. I would like to see him go abroad. Or I wouldn't even like to see him go to a Villa. I think Villa would come in for him because Emery's the one that brought him in at Arsenal. And Villa are dangerous, and they're going to be more dangerous next season. And they'll be a potential rival for those top 4 places. So I wouldn't like to see him go to Villa. And I wouldn't like to see him go to Newcastle or any other top 6, top 4 rival. I would like to see Tierney go abroad. But, you know, if we do get Cancelo, that would be a massive upgrade to Tierney. And even to Zinchenko in terms of being a specialised left back. So that would be good for Arsenal, taking us to a next level in that department. And Tierney, who's injury prone anyway, would have to find a new club. And also the link that Arsenal are preparing a £90 to £92 million bid for Declan Rice is strengthening. I hope that those are not only rumours and that is tangible. Personal terms are said to be agreed, £300,000 for Declan Rice a week, which would be his wage. And in terms of contracts, apparently Arsenal and Saka have reached an agreement, and I think the contract is pretty much signed. Saka signing a 290 grand a week contract to stay on Arsenal. Saka is a good player. You know, I'm not on the bandwagon, this Starboy bandwagon. I do think he's overrated. But if he can carry on his development, keep his feet on the ground and keep improving, I'm sure that he can contribute to Arsenal's further success. I just hope he works hard, keeps stable, keep his feet on the ground, and the money doesn't get to him. The most important thing to be a top player or a top athlete is to work hard and to not get gassed. So as long as he does that, I'm perfectly happy for Saka to sign this contract. As long as he shows that he is worth that money and he delivers. Because towards the end of this season, he didn't deliver. He disappeared. And all the excuses, no. He just didn't deliver because he bottled it and the team bottled it. So if Saka's going to get this sort of money, he needs to step up, and Arsenal need to step up as a team in general. So guys, please leave a comment about what has been discussed today. Please like, share, subscribe, and I'll see you guys tomorrow for the next one. Peace.